In this video, I want to show you how you can take your family and friends on a comprehensive tour of the moon that they're never going to forget. I'm going to provide you with a sightseeing map, talking points, reference materials, and historical context to make for an awesome evening of observing with your telescope or binoculars. Hi, my name is Chris, and welcome to my channel. The entirety of the Apollo program spanned a little over 1 decade and ended with Apollo 17 in December of 1972. The Apollo program may have gotten most of the attention, but it wasn't the whole story. Prior to Apollo 11, there were a number of robotic missions carried out by both the United States and the Soviet Union. The Americans sent the Ranger, Lunar Orbiter, and Surveyor probes and robotic missions, while the Soviets had their Luna program. Much has happened since. Starting in the 2010s, we have been sending robotic missions back to the moon. China's Chang'e 3 landed in December of 2013. India sent up the Chandrayaa 3 lander in July of 2023, the same year as Russia attempted to land Luna 25. Both India and Russia hoped to land near the South Pole, no doubt looking for signs of water ice. And now we get to what I think is the most interesting part of this lunar tour, where we're going to be visiting some of the places that we've explored so far. Ranger 7 was the first fully successful U.S. lunar impact mission. On its way down, it recorded over 4,000 high-resolution images and proved that close-up imaging of the moon was actually possible. Ranger 7, or what remains of it, lies here in Mare Cognitum. The Ranger program, which ran from 1961 to 1965, was NASA's first serious attempt to reach the moon with robotic spacecraft. Early missions focused on testing rockets and navigation systems, while later missions were designed to transmit images as they descended towards the surface. Although some Ranger missions failed, Ranger 7 succeeded on all counts, and the slew of images it returned helped pave the way for future landing missions. Now, I would like to take a brief pause here to explain that all of the images and videos that you're seeing of the moon in this video were actually taken by me with my backyard telescope, Nomad. Nomad is a Celestron Nexstar 6 SE. That is a 6-inch reflector. But you don't need a 6-inch telescope to see all of the sights that we're viewing here. In fact, because the moon is so big and bright, you'll be able to use any planetary telescope or decent pair of binoculars to identify the landmarks that we're reviewing. Over here in Oceanus Procellarum, we find Surveyor 3. This was one of the first spacecraft to successfully land on the moon and operate on the surface, sending back detailed images and data about the lunar soil. The Surveyor program followed Ranger and ran between 1966 and 1968. Its goal was to prove that a spacecraft could actually land safely and that the surface was strong enough to support future missions. Surveyor 3 became especially important a couple of years later when Apollo 12 landed nearby. Astronauts Pete Conrad and Alan Bean walked over to the lander, examined it, and brought parts of it back to Earth. This was the first time humans visited a spacecraft on another world. Somewhere in this region, we have the crash site of Lunar Orbiter 1. Before the Apollo missions, NASA needed a way to carefully study the lunar surface from above. Between 1966 and 67, 5 lunar spacecraft of the Lunar Orbiter program were sent into orbit around the Moon. These were sent to photograph potential landing sites. The missions captured detailed images of the surface, allowing engineers to evaluate terrain features like slopes, craters, and boulder fields. The data collected by the Lunar Orbiter missions played a critical role in selecting safe landing sites for the Apollo program. Lunar Orbiter 1 is especially well known for capturing the first photograph of Earth rising above the Moon's horizon, which to this day is one of the most iconic space images in history. After completing its mission, the spacecraft was intentionally directed to impact on the Moon, which is why we mark its crash site here. If we move over to Mare Fecunditatis, we come to the landing site of Luna 16. This was one of the Soviet Union's robotic sample return missions, and it successfully collected lunar soil and brought it back to Earth, all without human involvement. The Luna program, which began in 1959, ran in parallel with the American efforts. It achieved several major milestones, including the first impact on the Moon and the first images of the far side. Luna 16, along with later missions like Luna 20 and 24, demonstrated that fully automated missions could land, collect samples, and return them safely to Earth. Now, if we move back to Mare Tranquillitatis, we find Tranquility Base, the landing site of Apollo 11. This was the first time humans set foot on the Moon. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed here in July of 1969, while Michael Collins remained in orbit above. The site was chosen because it was relatively smooth and safe for landing. During their time on the surface, the astronauts collected samples and deployed scientific instruments. Apollo 11 fulfilled President Kennedy's goal and marked one of the most significant achievements in human history. Not far from Surveyor 3, in the ocean Procellarum, is the landing site of Apollo 12. This mission demonstrated precision landing, touching down within walking distance of the earlier robotic probe. Pete Conrad and Alan Bean visited Surveyor 3. They photographed it and brought parts back to Earth, while Richard Gordon remained in orbit. By showing that NASA could perform precision landings, this mission opened the door to more ambitious exploration. Just north of Mare Cognitum is the Fra Mauro region and the landing site of Apollo 14.
Launch commit, liftoff. We have liftoff with Apollo 14. 3 minutes past the hour.
Roll complete.
Roger, roll complete.
This is the mission that was originally planned for Apollo 13, but after that mission was aborted due to an almost catastrophic failure, the Apollo 14 mission was sent to complete the objectives. Alan Shepard and Edgar Mitchell explored this area, which contains material ejected from the massive Imbrium impact. Their work helped scientists better understand the Moon's geological history.
Ignition sequence start. Engines on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Moving up towards the Montes Apennines, we come to the landing site of Apollo 15. This mission marked the beginning of extended exploration, and it was also where astronauts began using a lunar rover to travel much greater distances. David Scott and James Irwin explored the base of the Apennine Mountains and the nearby Hadley Rill. They collected a wide range of samples and really expanded the scope of lunar exploration. Moving over to the highlands south of Mare Tranquillitatis, we find the landing site of Apollo 16. This mission focused on the bright, rugged terrain of the lunar highlands. Astronauts John Young and Charles Duke explored the area and confirmed that it was formed primarily by impacts and not by volcanic activity. Finally, if we move up toward the Taurus Littrow Valley, we arrive at the landing site of Apollo 17. This was the final mission of the Apollo program and the most ambitious. Eugene Cernan and Harris Schmitt spent over 22 hours on the surface, collecting the largest sample return of any mission. Schmitt, who was a trained geologist, helped to identify key features, including volcanic materials that provided new insight into the moon's history. Apollo 17 remains the last time that humans have walked on the moon.
Godspeed and God bless you all.
Returning to Mare Imbrium, we find the landing site of China's Chang'e 3 mission. This mission, launched in 2013, marked the first soft landing on the moon in nearly 40 years. It deployed a rover and conducted a range of scientific studies, and it demonstrated that modern lunar exploration was underway again. Now, if we move down towards the South Pole, we come to the landing site of India's Chandrayaan 3 mission. This mission successfully landed in 2023 near the lunar South Pole. It's a region believed to contain water ice. Its rover explored the surface and collected valuable data about the local environment. Near this location is the crash site of Russia's Luna 25. That mission was aimed at the same general area near the South Pole, but unfortunately failed during its final descent, and it impacted on the surface. Now this leads me to some honorable mentions. I'm not going to be covering these private missions, which met with varying degrees of success, but feel free to explore them yourself. I'm going to leave links to some of the additional research materials, my lunar sightseeing map, and the script of this video in the description below. Before I sign off, I also wanted to share with you a very cool feature you can find within Google Earth. The Google Earth desktop application has this really cool function which allows you to switch from viewing the Earth to viewing the Moon and Mars. In the Moon and Mars views, you can perform the same types of search functions as you can on Earth, making this a great tool for locating craters, landing sites, and other landmarks. I use this feature in my own exploration of the Moon to identify surface markings in my images, and to find more exact locations of the various landers and probes covered in this video. If you have not used this feature before, go have a look. I hope that you have found this guide to the Moon useful, and that it helps you share your love of astronomy and space exploration with others. That's all for now. Until next time, thanks for watching, and clear skies.